Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host Fondue.
I'm Cheesy.
This week we're going to learn about cheese caves. We're going to talk about why we age cheese in caves.
Whoa.
We're going to learn about the Missouri secret government caves.
Ooh, secret.
And we're going to talk about cave locations around the country.
Ooh.
And of course, no episode would be complete without our very cheesy joke.
Joke.
Stay tuned for our two-part series, episode 150, Spelunking, on Just Cheesy, the podcast. According to Wikipedia, a cave is a large underground chamber.
Yeah.
It's typically of natural origin, and it usually is in a hillside or a cliff.
Right.
And did you know that caves have been used to age cheese for thousands of years?
But why?
We've actually talked about this a little bit before,
We have?
and the answer is relatively simple.
Really?
WisconsinCheese.com tells us that in traditional cheesemaking, caves provide an environment with a constant cool temperature with high humidity.
Whoa.
The high humidity helps to keep the right amount of moisture in the cheese,
Ew.
and the cool, consistent temperatures allow the cheese to ripen slowly and evenly.
Oh.
Aging cheese and ripening it for months or years helps it develop a strong flavor, a rich texture, and what they say here, more personality.
Personality.
CheeseOrigin.com talks about the different types of cheese caves.
Whoa.
They say different types of cheeses require different aging processes.
Really?
They say blue cheese is aged in a damp, chilly cave,
Ooh.
while cheddar prefers a drier, cooler condition.
Whoa.
They say the environment inside the cave, including the type of mold and bacteria, can significantly affect the flavor and texture of the cheese.
Wow.
The cheese caves are considered eco-friendly,
Okay.
and they also say that many of these cheese caves in France and the U.S. have become tourist attractions.
Whoa.
Another big benefit is that cheese can last for quite a long time in a cave.
It can?
Some types of cheeses can be aged between 6 and 25 years in a cave.
Holy cow.
Caves also provide a large storage capacity.
Oh.
Caves come in all shapes and sizes and can be natural or man-made.
Wow.
And one of the most famous caves for cheese is in Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
In Season 2, Episode 4, we talked a lot about government cheese.
Yeah, we did.
Legend has it that there's 1.4 billion pounds of surplus cheese
Billion.
sitting in Missouri, and it's owned by the U.S. government.
Holy cow.
And while this story is rooted in some truth, it's not 100% true.
Really?
Part of the story is true. At one point, the U.S. government did own what I consider to be a metric boatload of cheese.
Yeah.
The Agricultural Act of 1949 gave the Depression-era Commodity Credit Corp the authority to buy dairy products like cheese from farmers, and it helped to stabilize prices.
Right.
And this worked as intended.
Okay.
The amount of manufactured milk the government purchased and stored, the price of it remained relatively low
Okay.
until an unprecedented shortage of dairy supplies in the 1970s.
Oh, no.
Milk prices shot up 30% in late 1973.
Whoa.
The government tried to intervene by relaxing import quotas and dropping the price of milk.
Okay.
The Food and Agriculture Act of 1977 increased price supports.
Wow.
And this legislation triggered support price increases every year.
Whoa.
So farmers kept producing more milk and the government kept buying it.
Oh.
The USDA purchases increased from about $247 million in 1979
Okay.
to $2.7 billion in 1983.
Holy cow.
By 1981, the amount of cheese that was stored was up to about 560 million pounds.
Oh, my.
And it was costing the government about $1 million a day in interest and storage costs.
Holy cow.
It cost a lot to store,
Yeah.
but that wasn't the only problem.
Oh, no.
It was starting to rot.
Ooh.
They had 60 million 5-pound hunks of cheese
Oh, no.
that were deteriorating.
Ooh.
They couldn't find a market for it. They couldn't sell it.
Oh.
And they started looking to give some of it away.
Okay.
30 million pounds of that cheese went into school lunch and welfare programs
Oh.
in the Temporary Emergency Food Assistance Program.
Okay.
One of the big problems was that the support price from the government was twice as high as the price from the market.
Oh.
So dairy farmers kept producing cheese under an open offer from the government to buy it.
Whoa.
This glut of cheese grew to about 1.2 billion pounds,
Ooh.
or 5 pounds of cheese for every single American.
Whoa.
In the 1990s, dairy prices stabilized and the government got out of the cheese business.
Okay.
And in 2014, Congress repealed the Dairy Price Support Program.
Whoa.
In 2019, the government got back into the business and they began to provide large subsidies again to offset the effects of the trade war with China, Canada, and the European Union.
Whoa.
Currently, it's not being stockpiled, but distributed on the market or through food assistance programs.
Whoa.
So part of the story is true. There's currently 1.4 billion pounds of cheese in cold storage.
Whoa.
But it's really not a very big secret.
Oh, yeah.
In Springfield, Missouri, there is a cheese cave.
Oh.
But it's actually a 3.2 million square foot warehouse.
Whoa.
It was opened in 1946 as a limestone quarry.
Really?
The USDA is not currently a tenant.
Oh.
The cheese that they store there now belongs to places like Kraft,
Oh.
Hilmar, Sopra, and others that sell a lot of cheese.
Whoa.
And unfortunately, these awesome cheese caves are not open to tourists.
Aw.
Kraft, Hilmar, and Sopra are not sponsors.
Nope.
But if they were, their ad would go right here. Have you ever wanted to listen to the web?
Yeah.
Well, Newsly makes that possible.
They do?
They're an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android.
Super app.
You can listen to trending articles on the web on topics that you choose and get them read to you in a natural human voice.
What kind of topics?
Sports,
Cheese?
tech, business, science.
Cheese?
I'm sure there's even cheese.
Yay!
They even have an entire section for podcasts.
Are we there?
Of course we are.
Ooh.
It's one of my new favorite podcast apps. They even have digital radio.
Holy cow.
Just go to www.newsly.me to download it free.
Whoa.
Or use the link in the description. If you use the promo code CHEESY, that'll get you 1 month free premium subscription.
Yay, Newsly.
Now, back to the podcast. According to foodandwine.com, Missouri is known as the cave state.
Whoa.
This is because of abundant and porous limestone, and it forms more than 7,000 caves.
Holy cow.
And they say here a large variety of foods are stored in these caves because they're so amenable to climate control.
Yeah.
The Hunt Midwest Subtropolis in Kansas City is located in a 270 million year old limestone deposit.
Whoa.
And that lies 150 feet below ground.
Whoa.
It's a big home to cave-aged cheeses, coffee, and more foods.
Ooh.
Missouri is not the only state in the U.S. where you can find cave-aged cheeses.
It's not?
In Michigan, there's Leelanau cheese.
Whoa.
According to WKFR.com, Leelanau cheese says that the cheese cave is a structure developed to imitate the style and function of traditional aging caves in Europe.
Whoa.
It is specifically designed to monitor and maintain optimal temperature and humidity conditions for the maturation of their cheeses.
Holy cow.
They say that in this environment, the wheels of cheese will develop flavor while aging.
Wow.
You can visit them Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Whoa.
And you can visit LeelanauCheese.com.
Yeah.
Not in Missouri or Michigan?
Nope.
Well, how about Washington State?
Whoa.
Around World War II, French blue cheese was no longer being imported to the U.S.
Oh.
The Gouler Cheese Company would bring cheese down into the natural caves for refrigeration.
Wow.
In the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, there is something called the Gouler Ice Caves.
Ooh.
The cheese caves can be found down a long dirt road near Trout Lake by an A-frame building where the main cheese-making operation used to happen.
Whoa.
The cave is made from a lava tube,
Ooh.
and it measures nearly 2,000 feet long with a flat floor and a high ceiling.
Whoa.
Wood remnants of the cheese-making operation can still be seen in the caves.
Wow.
Not in Washington State?
Nope.
Well, how about Montana?
Okay.
Several different varieties of hard cheese are made at the Gray Cliff Mill.
Okay.
According to KTVQ.com, this cave keeps its cheese at about 50 degrees with about 85% humidity.
Whoa.
They make about 7 different varieties of cheese, and they
Ooh.
use about 200 gallons of milk each week.
Wow.
Perry, New York is home of East Hill Creamery.
Oh, yeah.
On their website, they're letting you know that they give a tour of the creamery.
Ooh.
For $10 a person, you get a tour by the owner.
Wow.
And he tells you about the history of the Burley family dairy.
Nice.
They have some man-made caves here, which Cheesy and I have actually seen ourselves.
Yeah.
And this is the creamery that has one of the famous cheese vending machines.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that the famous Murray's cheese actually has caves?
Whoa.
They've been around since 2004.
Really?
And they're in New York City.
New York City?
They have 4 different types of caves.
Really?
They have an alpine cave,
Okay.
a bloomy rind cave,
Ooh.
a natural rind cave,
Okay.
and a washed rind cave.
Wow.
Did you know that Faribault, Minnesota actually has some caves too?
They do?
According to cavesoffaribault.com, They say they're located on a tall sandstone bluff overlooking the Straight River in the small town of Faribault.
Whoa.
The natural sandstone caves were carved in the 1850s.
Whoa.
They say the sandstone allows water to travel both horizontally and vertically.
Really?
And this has a natural capacity for absorbing ammonia, which makes it ideal for aging cheese.
Nice.
They also say the original cave was carved in the 1850s for the Fleckstein Brewing Company.
Holy cow.
This is because it was before modern-day refrigeration,
Oh.
and beer caves were commonly used to store beer at cooler temperatures.
Ooh.
They operated until 1919 when Prohibition came into play,
Oh.
and the caves did not reopen under the brewing company.
Aw.
I guess when you go and visit Chip and Joanna Gaines, you might as well stop outside of Waco to Brazos Valley Cheese.
Whoa.
This is a small, artisanal cheesemaker, and it's home to a 6,000 square foot cavern filled with over 2,000 wheels of cheese.
Holy cow.
According to SecretHouston.com, when the cheese cave is open, visitors can explore the 55-degree cavern, they can stroll along the stacks and admire the hundreds and hundreds of cheese molds.
Whoa.
The inside is not open to the public, but there's an observation window where visitors get to look inside the room.
Awesome.
Let us know if you've got a cheese cave in your area.
I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
Okay, why did cheese hang out in a cave?
I don't know.
To get a little bolder in flavor. Get it?
Oh.
Bolder?
Yeah, I get it. It was silly.
Oh, they're always silly.
Yeah.
And a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, episode 150, Spelunking.
Thank you.
Make sure to join us next week as we talk about cheese caves around the world.
And stay cheesy, everybody.